Baltimore, and I'm going to be getting out to various places around the league next week. And the NBA and the NHL have not been far off with the NHL draft last week, as well as the Las Vegas stuff. And obviously the Caps bringing in Oshie, but things have been quiet around the NBA franchise of Ted Leonsis and the Wizards. This guy is a blogger out on the internet covering all things Wizards, as well as even the former Bullets, which warms my heart and soul in Baltimore. It is Bullets Forever out on Twitter and bulletsforever.com. He is Kevin Broom, one of our defending champions, talking a little summer NBA here. You can follow him at Bullets Forever on Twitter, as well as Broom_Kevin. What's going on, man? Paul George to the Wizards. Let's go get it, right?
Well, it always depends on what's your acquisition cost, and then you have to ask the question, like, okay, depending on what you give up, is Paul George really a guy who transforms a franchise? And my analysis would say no.
Well, you're probably not the only one, and in the era where the Kevin Durant's go and join the best team already and make them better, and LeBron James is going to be doing his tour here over the next 4 to 6 weeks, the players on the team are the general managers now, right? I mean, especially where it really matters. Not drafting some puppy that's going to be, the eighth guy on your bench or play in the D-League or whatever. I'm talking about winning championships in the NBA. It really is a recruitment league for rock stars to want celebrity bands, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of that, the recruitment. I mean, I kind of wish that, how can I say this? A lot of times current players are really lousy evaluators of talent. I mean, everybody can recognize a great player. Everybody knows Kevin Durant is a great player, right? But it's sort of in that, in between that, there's a lot of space for players to be, good or not very good, but players are oftentimes impressed with other players for reasons that don't really have anything to do with winning and losing games, but it's more like, well, I had a tough time against him, or he's really athletic, or he's really strong, or, he's got great ball handling skills, that kind of thing. And it's not necessarily related to how well they really play the game in terms of doing the things that cause a team to win. And so I kind of wish, it would be a little bit more sort of self-directed from management, in the sense that the management would say, okay, this is the guy we want. John Wall, can you help us recruit him? That kind of thing, versus Wall saying, you know what, Paul George is our answer. I'm going to go recruit him.
Well, of course, right? I mean, and look, recruitment goes on at every level. I mean, even 2 weeks ago when the Ravens signed Jeremy Maclin, Joe Flacco said, sure, I sent him a text. I know him. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. We all want good players around us. That's the nature of all of this. But no place like the NBA, right, where LeBron is really running that franchise at this point. It's pretty clear.
Yeah. It's, that's the thing is, LeBron says, well, I want J.R. Smith to be on my team. And so they give him $13 million. And boy, wouldn't they like to have that $13 million back, or to spend it on somebody else, because, I mean, J.R. Smith isn't that good. So it's one of those things. It's like, it's great, but it's also, and players are certainly within their rights to do it and all that kind of stuff.
Well, he looks great with his shirt off, right? I mean, he makes the bus team, right? The all-airport team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he certainly looks like a great basketball player. He just isn't one.
Well, where are the Wizards at this point? And maybe the larger picture for me is real simple. As an NBA outsider, as an observer, and a guy that observes all of these sports for 25 years, I've never seen a league that has been more predictable, that's a little bit boring, not just to watch the Bucks play the Jazz on a Wednesday night, but more than that, even the chalk of the playoffs and the it's almost like a caste system. You know what I mean? There's those who can win, and that's Golden State and Cleveland. And on any given day, you can delude yourself if you're San Antonio or Oklahoma City at some point. But that is a very, very small subset. Unlike baseball and football, and certainly hockey, where it's always up for grabs and anybody can win. I look at the Wizards. Bullets forever, Bullets, Wizards. It's all the same here. Yeah. We're allowed to call them the Bullets in Baltimore, I think. We're allowed to use the B word. But I look at it and say, well, what could they do other than try to go get someone of a Paul George level that's going to change things for them? Because it's not going to be one on draft night, even if you have the number one pick. They're not close, and that's one thing I could get to, even watching them play well into May this year, which was delightful and all that. And Game 7 where they got run over, by the Notre Dame kid and all that stuff. How are they going to win a championship? I mean, I watch the Warriors and I watch the Cavaliers play, and I'm like, well, yeah, they might be close, but they're not even really close. They're really not any closer than the New Jersey Nets at this point, who now play in Brooklyn.
Right. Well, first, I got to disagree with you just a little bit. I mean, I don't find the NBA boring at all. I mean, the predictability of who wins the championship, to me, that doesn't really affect the excitement of like watching the games and enjoying the games. I mean, the Milwaukee-Utah game, on a Wednesday night, I don't know about. I love watching that.
Look, I can watch Coppin play Loyola on a Tuesday night too, but neither one's winning the national championship, right? I mean, like if you can't win the championship, that makes it a lot harder to enjoy for me in a competitive sport. I mean, it just does.
Yeah, I get you, but I'm saying I do enjoy those games too. So, at any rate,
but I guess what I'm saying is there's 28 places right now where they feel like they can't win next year. That's not good. I mean, the Wizards are pretty good, but I don't feel like they can win next year.
No, I agree with that, but I mean, that's always been the way it's been in the NBA, and part of that is just the playoff structure. When you play, a best of 7 series, the best team, the better team, is going to win most of the time. I mean, if in the NFL you get more, more unpredictability because injuries play a much bigger factor, and in the playoffs, each game is a 1-game thing, so you have more fluke. It's sort of like the NCAA tournament, where you get fluky results because you have that one game. If the NBA was single elimination in the playoffs, we would get more fluky results just because every now and then the best team stumbles, So that would be kind of interesting. And in hockey, you get a lot of variability even within the 7 game because the scores are so low and the goalie has so much influence over who wins and who loses. So you get a goalie who gets hot for 4 games and 8 can beat 1 because there really isn't that great a difference between 8 and 1 to start with.
For you with the Wizards and watching this so closely, if Paul George isn't an answer or part of the answer, and Durant didn't come here last year, and we spent 3 years talking about that and sort of waiting around, what is the answer? I mean, it's very difficult, I think, for ownership, for the fan base, for the people who sell the sponsorships. I think it's difficult for Wall and Beal to say, well, okay, so we're going to win 50 games next year, 52 games, or whatever that's going to be. How do you get to the next level? And unless your players are recruiting players, you're not going to do that through the draft. At least I don't. You're certainly not going to do it overnight, not next year.
Well, okay, there's a couple of things. One is that you can improve internally. Wall, Beal, Porter all had very good seasons. All of them could play better. Wall could cut down, could shoot better, could have better shot selection, could reduce his turnovers. Beal could basically do just about everything better except scoring. Porter could ramp up his overall offensive aggressiveness, use more possessions, but maintain good efficiency and probably become a better player that way. All of 3 of those guys could improve defensively, and just overall in terms of concentration, in terms of how they play and how they value possessions. Game to game, night to night, all 3 of those guys could continue to improve. Beal and Porter especially are still really young and have a lot of room for improvement, even as good as they've played. And they could also do some other roster moves to upgrade at power forward and center. Gortat is still decent, but he's sort of a lower echelon starting center at this point. Markieff Morris is a really average player, below average power forward. And, if you replaced him with a really productive player, if you could get Paul George to come in and play power forward, for example, or you could get Paul Millsap, just magically, I'm talking magic beans here, the team is much better.
Your fantasy draft, right? Is that what this is, right?
Yeah. I mean, realistically, the Wizards are going to have to improve internally and or get really lucky with, picking up somebody you want to, like an undrafted free agent who turns into Draymond Green type of thing, because they're capped out. They're up against the luxury tax. If they re-sign Porter, they probably can't re-sign Bogdanovich and Porter. And they're going to have a really difficult time because of where they are with the cap situation, adding anybody unless they can trade away somebody like Gortat, Mahinmi, Jason Smith. And they don't want to touch, obviously, I wouldn't think they would want to touch Wall, Beal, or Porter. And so they're kind of in the situation where it's going to be very difficult for them to improve by bringing in somebody else.
Yeah, Porter kind of has to be that guy, right?
Yeah, he does. And, I mean, I got to say, Otto was terrific last season. You know, he was ludicrously efficient, and, you know, his production is almost all addition because he makes so few bad plays, and there's a real value in that. You know, he's a very good player.
But will he get better? You know, yeah, I mean, will all of these guys get better together the way some other groups have, like the San Antonio Spurs did in their era and the Dallas Mavericks when they got better? The rest of these teams are just piecemeal. I mean, dude, you must admit, it really is something sitting watching the Warriors play basketball, right?
Oh, God, I love watching them play. I mean, it's a really beautiful, the way that they play, the way that, you know, the ball moves, the way the players move, it's nice. It's a true team game. And it just happens that they have two of the top 5 players in the league, plus a top 15, plus like a top 30. So they're loaded. You know, you got some of the best players on the planet, all on the same team. It's just, really, we've never seen anything quite like it.
And for the Cavaliers, anything you want to say to them where they thought they were kind of good and they thought they were arrogant enough to say, well, we don't even need to play too much in February and March and we'll just figure it all out. You know, when the rubber met the road, if these teams as comprised had played 100 series, I think the Warriors would have won 95 of them. I really believe that.
I think the Warriors would have won 100 of them.
Really?
And, yeah, I think what your point about them, about the Cavaliers sort of coasting in the regular season is – I think they thought that they were conserving energy. The problem is that they were getting in bad habits. And a friend of mine, former VP with the Philadelphia 76ers, and he worked with the Portland Trailblazers before that, Ben Falk, his website, cleaningtheglass.com, he has a terrific piece up there about Cleveland's transition defense and how that wrecked any chance they had of beating Golden State. And it really came down to their ability to sprint back on defense and their priorities once they, even when they did get back, where you had players getting back and then drifting out to pick up guys at the 3-point line instead of protecting the rim. And Ben does a great job of breaking down how that is. And really it comes down to what you were just saying, which is Cleveland got in bad habits in February and March and April, not playing hard every moment. And so when they got into the finals and they're up against a super team, and you have to be really detail-oriented. You have to execute in every phase of the game, and they didn't because they were in bad habits from, you know, the 82-game season.
If the Wizards didn't get run over in Game 7 by Olenek the way they did, and let's say they got to the next, are you delusional in thinking they could have taken the thing 7, or are you thought that maybe something could have been done for the Wizards? They were playing decent basketball in April and May. I mean, I don't think they were playing the best ball they were playing of the year at the moment they needed to. If they were, I think they would have handled Boston. But it was, by any measurement, a really good season for the Wizards, man. Yeah,
it was a surprise. It was a very good, surprising season. You know, they had Wall, Beal, Porter all played the best they had in their career. You know, all three had a career year in the same year, which is nice, and hopefully they can all build on that. You remember, I mean, I was talking during the regular season. I felt like there was nobody in the East who was head and shoulders better than the Wizards. And I still think that, you know, they really, Cleveland wasn't head and shoulders better. Boston wasn't. And it went right down to the wire with Boston. Down, really, they still had a chance to win in the fourth quarter of Game 7. So, you know, home court advantage mattered in that case, perhaps. And, had they been able to get by Boston, it really would have been an interesting series. I don't think they would have beaten Cleveland in a 7-game series, but I think they would have had a chance.
They might have won 1 or 2, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think they could have pushed it to 6, maybe even to a 7th game. It's just, you know, LeBron is so good. It's a little tough, and the Wizards don't really have, well, I mean, nobody really has anybody who can defend LeBron with any success, but it would have been interesting to see that series.
You defend him by shooting threes.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, man, it was great having you on. I hope you're having a good offseason. He is Kevin Broom. He does Bullets Forever out on the web, and as well at he's also Broom_Kevin out on Twitter as well. You can check them out at SB Nation and all the places that they do their thing in the NBA. Hey, have a great summer, man. We'll continue to monitor this and check in with you from time to time. Won't be long. I mean, I say that for the football fans. Hang in there. Summer will be over in no time. But for the people at the beach, I hope it lasts forever. So have a great week, man.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks
You got
for
it.
having me on.
Kevin Broom from Bullets Forever and SB Nation. You can find him out on Twitter as well. You can find me in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That's all powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where they're keeping you in shape and get you in aforementioned beach shape. Last but never least, breaking news happens first on our WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And, of course, Dennis Colatzos will be here on Thursday driving you home from 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. I am a very available individual, just like Mr. Angelos. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. I'm Nestor. We are WNST.net AM 1570 and WNST House in Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.